Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monday episode of Daily Betslip. It is a new week, and tonight, of course, we got some Monday night football action between the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. I'm joined by Peter Dewey. We're going to get into our picks for today, also some community picks. And what about the AFC East with the Bills losing this past week, all the way down to third place in the division? We'll take a look at the latest odds to win and who we think is the best bet to do it. Peter, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Big sports night tonight. Eagles undefeated record on the line. Our guy Reed's got his survivor pick on the line, so that's obviously a big one. And we got some good basketball games. I know a lot of star power tonight. Giannis, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum. A lot of really good players playing tonight, so I'm excited for it.
Yes, I did survive my survivor pick. I took the Chiefs.
Well
done. I think there's 5 people on the Eagles tonight. 2 eliminated yesterday, down to the final 18 for the $25,000. We'll see how that shakes up. But we got a lot to get through here. I got 2 NHL picks, a college basketball pick. You got 3 in the NBA. And then, of course, we can give our best bets for Monday Night Football. At the end of the show, we also have some community picks to get through. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We surpassed 1,000 subscribers last week. Big time. Big stuff. Love to see it.
Let's keep it going. 2,000 next. That's the next one.
You are reporting live from the BetSided office today, Peter.
I am. Had to have a day in. Ben was in today, so we got to see him.
Yes.
But it's kind of getting empty around here, man. I'm not gonna lie, because we're switching offices at the end of the year, so not too many people in today.
Yes, I think we'll be in the office 2 more times, and that'll be it. That office will be gone forever.
Yeah. Got to soak in this background while you still can.
Exactly. Yes. I tried to get some of those pictures that are in the office because there's some nice pictures there, but no go.
They're all
spoken for apparently. So.
Oh man.
All right, let's get into some community picks here. We got 3 to get through. 1 NBA, and then I think we have 2 college basketball here. Hot takes with TP3 at TP3 bets is Pistons +5. Dwayne Casey revenge game against Raps for firing him. He's 9-3 straight up against the spread over 4 seasons. Think about how bad the Pistons are in that stretch. How long do revenge games last for TP3 bets? If he plays the Raptors in 10 years, is it still a revenge game? I mean, how long ago was that? Was before they won the championship. They fired Dwayne Casey. So, thoughts on that game, Peter?
This one was a tough one for me when I was writing it up this morning, just because Cade Cunningham's out for the Pistons and Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam out for the Raptors. So a lot of injuries here. I wouldn't trust this Pistons team. Honestly, my favorite play in this game was the over. Toronto's been scoring a lot of points lately, and the Pistons are dead last in the NBA in defensive rating. They're also dead last in net rating. Like, they're just not a good basketball team right now. So them only getting 5 points here, like, this game could go south quick if the Raptors, they still have some good players, even with Fred VanVleet and Siakam out, Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent, like OG Anunoby. They have a good team. So I prefer the over. I think this is going to be kind of an up-tempo, score a ton of points game, just with the way the Pistons have played this year. But, without Cade Cunningham, I can't back the Pistons with how they've been this season.
All right, so there you have it. Let's switch over to the next community pick, which I think is a Joey Milks. Joey Milks at Don Lesch's. So are you Joey or are you Don? Who knows? But you are on the Sacramento State Hornets +120 on the money line, playing the Denver Pioneers tonight. A little Big Sky college basketball action. I have absolutely zero thoughts on this game. Listen, I can talk college basketball, and I could probably even talk about this matchup a little bit further in the season, but you want me to talk about Big Sky game 3 games into the college basketball season? I don't know what to say about this game. I'll tell you, Denver is 120th in effective field goal percentage, and Sacramento State is 257th. So through their first 2 games, Denver has been a little bit of a better shooting team. They're 2-0. Sacramento State's 1-1. But betting on some Big Sky basketball in the second week of the season is a bold move. I commend you for that, good sir, and I wish you best of luck.
Same, yeah, respect it. I respect it.
Are you a big fan of the Sacramento State Hornets, Peter?
I can't say I've watched them play a game in the last 3-4 years. Couldn't tell you the last time I've seen, if I've ever seen, a Sacramento State basketball game.
There you go. All right, let's get to the last community pick, which I think is a ton of picks. Yeah, Johnny Hustle. Shout out to Johnny Hustle at C_32. Giving us 5 plays, all first half spreads. Doesn't mention what the spreads are. Actually, they might be money line. He doesn't mention. He just says Illinois, Villanova, Houston, Texas Tech, Baylor, all first half. Spread, money line. I don't know. Johnny Hustle is leaving us in the dark. He's basically just taking the 5 best teams in college basketball tonight and taking them all. I'm going to guess it's spread because Baylor is taking on Northern Colorado and they're a 27.5 point favorite. So let's assume they're all spread. And Baylor on the first half spread is minus 14.5. A lot of plays by Johnny Hustle.
I don't mind Illinois tonight. They're playing Monmouth. I'm actually debating betting Illinois full game to cover 20.5. Monmouth is really bad this year. So far, they've scored 94 points in 2 games, just can't score at all. And they lost a lot of guys. They lost, I think, 3 starters from last year's team, and they did not get a single guy in the transfer portal. So very young team that's had a brutal schedule to start. They played Seton Hall their first game, Virginia their second game, and now Illinois their third game. So just 3 tournament teams in their first 3 games of the season. They're probably going to get smoked tonight. So I don't mind Illinois tonight or even taking the under in that game because I just don't think Monmouth's going to be able to put up enough points to push it over. I think it was like 141 this morning when I last saw it.
Best of luck to you, Johnny Hustle. Peter, before we get into our picks on the show today, talk to me about your Denver Broncos. How did you feel about the performance yesterday, losing to the Tennessee Titans?
Dude, it's as you are the number 1 Titans fan, so
I am. People forget that. I've always supported the Titans. I've said they're one of the better teams in the AFC. They don't get enough respect, and I bet on them yesterday, and they won. So,
yeah, the Broncos stink, man. I mean, this is just – I think the worst part about this year, and I think the Saints are in this same spot, is Broncos don't have their first-round pick, so it's just like there's nothing, like, good about losing these games. Like, they don't get any benefit from it because the Seahawks have their pick. I mean, you got to think Nate Hackett's on the hot seat at least. Like, if they can't find a way to turn this around to at least get close to 500, like if this ends up being like a 4 or 5 win season, you got to think he's gone. I don't know how you can justify it. Because Russell Wilson hasn't looked good, but it's like a combination of bad play design and then also Russell Wilson not looking good. I don't know, man.
How many years do they have Russell Wilson for?
It was supposed to be 2, and then they signed him to a 5-year extension. So that's 6 after this year. I mean, it's just they're done. They're cooked. If he can't figure it out, or like they can't get the right coach in there,
tough.
I'm in purgatory for 7 years. Like they can't get rid of that contract. And what are you going to do? Draft a quarterback and sit Russell Wilson when you're paying him $60 million a year? You can't do that either. So
Bronco country, let's ride.
Terrible spot to be in. Really, the opposite. I thought the Broncos at least be competent this year. Like I thought they'd be contending for a playoff spot. So the fact that this is where we are, it's worse than it was the last 2 seasons, basically with Drew Lock. It's just horrible.
Fact. All right, let's get into our best bets for tonight. I'll start us off with a little college basketball action, and then we'll alternate back and forth because we've got 3 NBA plays. College basketball, I'm going to take Drake. The Drake Bulldogs, minus 12 against, how do you pronounce it? Wofford, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Wofford lost a High Point in their last game, 91-80. High Point went 7-9 in the Big South last year. This is not a good team, and Wofford got absolutely destroyed by them. Their defensive efficiency rating in that game was 1.255, which currently ranks 345th in the country. So this Wofford team, if that game against High Point was any indication, absolutely stinks. Now they take on a Drake team, 13th in effective field goal percentage. They beat up, to be fair, it was a pretty bad team. They played in their first game, IUPUI, which, side note, they take on Chicago State tonight, which might be the game between the worst 2 teams in the country. It's going to be electric. But this Drake team is returning 3 of their top 4 scorers from last season. So I think they're going to be a pretty solid team this year. And like I said, if that first game for Wofford against High Point is any indication, they're going to just stink. So I will take Drake, minus 12 in a little college basketball action. Also on the over in Penn State and Butler tonight. I don't have that pick for that show. By the way, before we get into NBA, if anyone's watching this live, I'm on the over in the Senators and Islanders game. I was going to give that pick out on the show, but that game starts in 20 minutes. So the only way you're getting this pick from me is if you read my NHL Best Bets article on BetSided, or if you're watching this live. It starts in 20 minutes. Love the over between the Islanders and Senators and a little NHL action. But speaking of NHL, I got 2 picks for that, but I'll get to those in a moment. Peter, what is your best? What's your first NBA pick for tonight?
Real quick question for you. You're betting on Drake tonight. Did you listen to the new Drake album like I suggested?
No.
Did that ever happen?
No. Will it happen? No. Not going to happen. I don't listen to music to begin with, so.
Fair. It's fair enough. I'll dive into my NBA plays. The first one I'm taking, got a spread pick. I'm taking the Clippers -5.5 against the Houston Rockets tonight. Clippers on the road. They haven't been great this season. The Clippers are 7-6, but Kawhi Leonard hasn't played, so I'm not reading too much into their long-term outlook. Leonard and John Wall out tonight, but for the Rockets, Jalen Green is questionable, which is pretty big for them. Their leading scorer, probably their best player, honestly, on this team. The other thing I think for the Clippers here, they have struggled on offense. They're dead last in offensive rating, but they're facing a Rockets team that is 29th in defensive rating, also terrible in net rating, one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. Clippers have a plus 5.3 advantage in net rating between these two teams this year. They've beaten the Rockets twice, beat them by 8 on the road the last time they played. So I really don't get this line. It's not like anything changed from the Clippers perspective. Yeah, they lost to the Nets over the weekend, but like the Nets are a good basketball team. The Rockets just are not. They lost to the Pelicans by 13 on Saturday after coming back to tie that game in the third quarter. So they are very susceptible to just getting beat into the ground because they don't play defense. So 5.5 points is way too few for me here. Paul George should have a big game. Honestly, if you want to bet player props too in this game, I wouldn't mind it, but I think the Clippers roll 5.5 points. I'll lay it all day.
There we go. Clippers -5.5 against the Rockets here. Switching over to the ice. And I'm going to take the Los Angeles Kings and Calgary Flames under 6. I got the even money here. This Los Angeles Kings team, surprisingly, has been a pretty good defensive team so far. They're actually ranked 3rd in 5-on-5 expected goals against per 60 minutes this year. Flames last year were the 2nd best defensive team in the entire league behind the Bruins. Haven't quite lived up to that potential so far this year, but they are ranking in the right direction. They still do rank inside the top 10 in most defensive categories. And the Flames can't shoot this season, which is really going to help in under bet. 26th in 5-on-5 shooting percentage, scoring on only 7.27% of their shots on net. So I will take the under between the Kings and Flames tonight. Under 6 at even money for my first NHL bet. I got one more, but before we go into that, Peter, what is your second NBA bet for tonight?
Yeah, I got a little player prop. I'm taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 26.5 points. Basically, anytime this number is under 30 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you should take it. 9 of his 12 games this year, he scored 28 or more points. Been an absolute machine. He's averaging 31.1 points per game. He's shooting 54.3% from the field, which is extremely impressive as a guard. Just basically getting to his spots, and nobody's really been able to slow him down. He scored 37 against the Knicks yesterday. And now they're facing a Celtics team, and I think a lot of the lines early in the season for some of these player props against the Celtics kind of factored in that Boston was the best defense in the NBA last season. That's not the case this year. They're 22nd in defensive rating so far this year, and they have the number 1 offense. So the way I'm looking at this game, OKC likes to push the pace, 7th in pace. Boston's played very well on offense. I think we can see a high-scoring game here. That's going to benefit SGA all day. He's right now, if the season ended today, I'd put him on 1st or 2nd team All-NBA. He's been fantastic. So anytime you can get this number under 30 with the streak he's been on, I think it's worth taking.
SGA, no to Canadian.
Yes. Might be the best Canadian basketball player right now.
That's what we should have done for a segment. Who is the best Canadian NBA player?
I might. That might be next time I'm on the show. We might have to do that. Break it down.
Interesting. All right. Speaking of Canada, I'm going to switch back to hockey, even though this game doesn't involve either Canadian teams. I will take the Hurricanes on the puck line, -1.5 at +120 against the Chicago Blackhawks here. This might be, some might say this would be the best team in the NHL taking on the worst team in the NHL. I would probably still say the Coyotes based on the record. But if you look at things like Corsi percentage, 5-on-5 Corsi percentages, the Hurricanes are ranked 1st in that category in the NHL. Blackhawks rank dead last So advanced analytics would say the Hurricanes are the best team. The Blackhawks are the worst team. Chicago's complete lack of offense. It's going to prevent them from keeping up with the Hurricanes tonight, I think. They have been able to score on the power play, but if you look at 5-on-5 goals, they're only getting 1.82 goals per game. You got to score more than twice if you're going to beat the Carolina Hurricanes. So I will back Carolina. I was surprised we were able to get the puck line at plus money here, so I'll take a -1.5 at plus 120 against Chicago tonight, which brings us to the final best bet of this segment, and that is another NBA play from you.
Yes, sir. Got another prop bet. I'm taking the Milwaukee Bucks on the money line in the first quarter against the Atlanta Hawks. Been liking some of these first quarter bets this year just because a lot of these teams, some of them have a tendency to start fast or start slow. The Bucks are one of the teams that start fast. They're averaging 31.4 points per game in the first quarter so far this season. And that's impressive because the last couple games they've played without Drew Holiday and Giannis Antetokounmpo and have still kept that number up above 30. Giannis is back tonight, which is obviously huge for them. And Atlanta has really struggled in the first quarter. They have a net rating of -5.6, which is 21st in the NBA. Thing with the Hawks defensively in the first quarters of games, they don't have their best lineup out there. Trae Young, obviously not the greatest defender, but Clint Capella is probably their second best defensive center, even though he starts. Onyeka Okongwu has been much better than him over basically the last 2 seasons. And the Bucks are the best team in the NBA at home this year. They're undefeated at home. They're 5-1-1 against the spread in first quarters at home. So I'm forgetting the spread. It was -1.5. I'm just going to take them to win this first quarter. I think they get off to a nice start. Had a letdown game against the Spurs with basically nobody in the lineup last game. So I think they bounce back here against Atlanta.
All right. The Bucks against the Hawks. That trend's still alive for the Hawks where they haven't covered as an underdog or haven't, covered in a loss as an underdog?
So the Hawks haven't covered in a loss in 42 consecutive losses. So basically, if you're going to bet on the Hawks and they're an underdog in a game, just bet them to win outright because they will not cover the spread. They haven't done.
What'd you say? How many consecutive games that's the case now?
42 consecutive losses.
My God.
It's crazy, dude. All the way back to last season, since the beginning of last season, they just can't buy a cover and a loss. It's crazy.
That's insane. That's probably the craziest trend in sports betting right now. Yeah. Let's take a look at our picks. Let's recap them here. I'm on Drake -12 in little college basketball action against Wofford. On the under 6 at even money against the Kings and Flames. Hurricanes puck line -1.5 plus 120 against the Blackhawks. Peter on Clippers -5.5 against the Houston Rockets. Over 26.5 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that is points. And you're on the first quarter money line -140. Against the Atlanta Hawks on the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's talk the AFC East because a big shakeup in the AFC East. Jets were on a bye week. They might have won the bye week. Jets were on a bye week, right? Yeah, they didn't play.
They were. Yeah.
And the Dolphins won. They beat the Browns, and the Buffalo Bills lost for the second straight week. This time, just completely collapsed against the Minnesota Vikings. And now the Bills are down to third place in the AFC East as we head into week 11. Who would have thought? Who would have thought at the start of the year? Here are the updated odds, at least as per FanDuel. Bills still the favorites, -180. Dolphins +240 right behind them. No respect for the New York Jets at 11-1. And then the Patriots coming in at 16-1. It is also worth noting, if the playoffs ended today, all 4 AFC East teams would be in. The Patriots currently hold the final wildcard spot as of right now based on tiebreaker. So it would be the division winners and then all 4 teams in the AFC East, which is wild. And obviously not something that we've seen because it's only been, 1 or 2 years where there's been 7 playoff teams. So it's only been possible for this to happen. And unless I'm mistaken, it hasn't happened yet. So interesting stuff going on in the AFC East. Let's talk about who we think is the best bet to win the AFC East. Why don't you start us off? Who's going to win the AFC East, my friend?
I think I got to go with the Miami Dolphins, man. I can't believe they're still at over 2-1 to win this division. They have control. They already beat the Bills earlier this season. They're in the driver's seat. I think when you look at this Miami team, 7-0 in games that Tua Tagovailoa has started and finished. They win when their quarterback's in there. Their losses came when he got knocked out of the game against Cincinnati, and then when they were playing a 7th-round rookie quarterback. So I like this Dolphins team. I think they can score with anybody, which in the AFC, especially with, when you play in a division with Josh Allen, like, you got to be able to put up points. That's where the Patriots and the Jets kind of concern me. Miami can put up the points with the best of them. Obviously, defensively, they haven't been as great this season as they've been in previous years. But the addition of Jeff Wilson Jr. looks really good. He's kind of not fixed, but like improved their running game to a point where now they kind of have a real nice 1-2 punch. And I don't like believe in this Bills team, I think, as much as many people do. Like, they are a good team. They have very talented players. They have also lost games over the last 2 years that they should not have lost. And they do this time and time again. They did it last year. They did it yesterday. I mean, that Vikings game, you can't lose that football game. And they had multiple chances to win it, and they still lost it. So, yeah, on paper, they might be the better team, but I think Miami's in the driver's seat right now. And I don't think the Bills are like immune to having another like one of these weird games where they lose. So I'm going to take Miami at plus money rather than laying the juice with the Bills at their current price.
I could not disagree with you more. I think the Bills right now, if you're willing to lay the minus 180 juice, is the best futures bet in the National Football League right now. Yeah, Tua's been great. Sure, their defense absolutely stinks. 22nd opponent yards per play. They can't stop anyone. I could throw together a minor football team from Nova Scotia that would be able to put up at least 20 points against this Dolphins defense. They stink. And yeah, here's the thing. If Josh Allen doesn't fumble that QB sneak yesterday, if Justin Jefferson doesn't make the greatest catch in NFL history on like 4th and a million.
Whoa. We're going there? They were saying that's better than the OBJ catch?
Yeah, that was way better. 100%. Then no one is saying this about the Buffalo Bills, but you have two plays happen that had about a 0.5% chance of happening. They both happened, and now all of a sudden the Bills go from being legitimate Super Bowl favorites, the team to beat, and now all of a sudden people are selling on them and saying that they have no chance because they lose these types of games. Point to me a Super Bowl winning team that doesn't lose a couple of bad games that they shouldn't lose in the regular season. It happens every single year. The Rams were terrible in November last year. They went on to win the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers the year before, they had a bad stretch. I think it was in October. Good teams are going to run. Bills last year, they lost to the Jaguars at one point. I am not concerned. There's a couple of bad games in a row. They're going to get back on track here. They're still what? A game behind the Dolphins? Is that it?
Yeah.
Statistically, they are the best team in the NFL. It's not even close. They're still first in net yards per play by a mile. Josh Allen, you're right. Josh Allen can't fumble on a QB sneak on the inch-yard line. Not good. But that's just, unfortunately, bad luck. As much of a cop-out as that kind of sounds like, it is. There's variance in the NFL, and the Bills ended up on the bad side of variance last game.
I'll just also say, I'm not sold on Josh Allen being 100% healthy. He has an arm injury as a quarterback, and the pick he threw, it was a bad read, but the pick he threw, even if he was trying to get that ball to Gabe Davis in overtime, he underthrew him by 10 yards. It wasn't even close. Like, Patrick Peterson cut up. That ball was never getting to Gabe Davis anyway. So I am skeptical on his health, obviously, which makes I don't want to lay that number with them not being in the driver's. Them and the Jets have the same record. The Jets just beat them. So
Right.
I'm not saying the Jets are a better team than the Bills. I'm not saying the Dolphins are a better team than the Bills. I just them not being able to not having the ability to hey, we control our own destiny, and the way they've lost some games this year, I could see them losing another one that completely takes them out of it.
All right, we'll see. Save this clip for the end of the season. Bills will win the division by 2 games.
2 games.
2 games. Yep. 2 games clear. All right, let's speaking of football, let's talk about game of the night. NFC East, it is the Philadelphia Eagles against the Washington Commanders. Eagles, obviously perfect on the year. They handled the Commanders pretty easily back in week 3. I believe you have a player prop for your best bet for tonight, but before we get into that, let me just ask you this. Can the Commanders win tonight and upset the Eagles? Do you think it is within the realm of possibility, or is it too much?
I mean, it is in the realm of possibility. It's the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody, I feel like, on any Sunday, unless you're the Denver Broncos. It's in the realm of possibility. Do I think it's going to happen tonight? No. But I'm very surprised that this is a double-digit spread for a division game. I will say that, because I don't think Washington has looked better under Taylor Heinicke, so I am surprised it's as high as it is for this game tonight.
All right, let's talk about your player prop. I believe you're targeting Antonio Gibson.
Yes, yeah, I like Antonio Gibson over 3.5 receptions in this game. It's at plus money. J.D. McKissic is out tonight, passing down back for the Washington Commanders. And the thing that I find interesting here, I was looking through it. So J.D. McKissic has 40 targets on the season. He has 28 receptions. Antonio Gibson has 38 targets on the season. He has 31 receptions. He has been basically, seeing the same volume in the passing game as J.D. McKissic has, which has not been the case in previous seasons. Obviously, Brian Robinson is going to be more of their early down back, but Antonio Gibson has 4 targets in, I think it's 5. Other than his last game, he had 3. I think it's 5 is his last 6 games. He has 2 games this year where he has 7 catches. So without McKissic there to steal any of the targets, I think we could see a 5, 6, 7 target game for Gibson. Obviously, the Eagles have a very good secondary. So I wouldn't be surprised if Heinicke's going to have to check it down a few times. I'm assuming Darius Slay is going to probably take away Terry McLaurin tonight. So I think at plus money, Antonio Gibson kind of monopolizing the touches out of the backfield here. As a receiver, I think he can go over 3.5 receptions.
All right, I like that. That's a sneaky little prop bet. I like that quite a bit. I also like over on his rushing total tonight as well. All right, my best bet, I'm just going to go with the Commanders to cover here. I got them at plus 10.5. There has been a couple of holes exploited in this Eagles defense, specifically their inability to stop the run. Heading into this week, 29th in opponent yards per carry, allowing 5.2 yards per rush, which is why I like Gibson to go over his rushing total. And Washington has started to lean on the run a little bit more in recent weeks. Over their last 3 games, they've run the ball on 49.48% of plays. Also, the Commanders' third down and red zone defense has been fantastic this year. A lot of their defensive numbers are around average, but they rank 4th and third down defense and 6th in red zone defense. Those are obviously 2 very key areas. If you can get the other team's offense off the field, and if you can prevent them from scoring touchdowns when they get down to the red zone, that's going to go a long way in maybe not winning the game, but at least keeping this game a little bit close. It's going to be tough to cover double-digit spreads if the Eagles are kept to field goals. So I will take Commanders plus 10.5 in this NFC East battle. I will say, not brave enough to take money line here, but I wouldn't be shocked if Washington wins this game. Because at some point, the pressure of an undefeated season gets to a team. We've seen it time and time and time again. The Eagles are good. When they lose, they're going to lose as favorites. Maybe not this game. It's going to happen somewhat soon, though.
I'm starting to think the Packers game is the one, man, because I think they next week it's Indianapolis and then it's the Packers. I don't want to say the Packers are back because it was one game but they did play well. I kind of think that's the game where you can see they might get Packers can run the ball really well, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, and if you're gonna have a quarterback that can make some plays, it is Aaron Rodgers when he is playing well. So that's the one I think for me. But like I said, division game tonight, man, 10.5 points. That's a lot of points in the division.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. Especially because they couldn't cover that spread. Well, I guess the spread was a little bit bigger. I think it was 13, and they won by 12 against the Texans, who are the worst team in the NFL. Community is on my side. The community pick is in. Commanders plus 10.5 is the poll result. So we're all in this together tonight. Let's see if Washington can at least keep this game close. But that's it. That has been today's episode of Daily BetSlip. Check out the early read tomorrow, going live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Reed Wallaby breaking down his best bets for college football week 12. And I'll be back tomorrow with Reed at 5 p.m. Eastern for Daily BetSlip to give out our best bets for tomorrow night. Peter, any final thoughts?
No, let's have a good football game tonight. Let's get a good one tonight. Yes. I just want to see a good game. That's all I'm asking for.
I agree. Let's have a good one. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with all your picks tonight. Gambler bless. I'll talk to you tomorrow.